sociologist, I have been trained to seek out and analyze social injustices. This often means studying things such as economic inequalities, racism, and sexism through numbers, trends, and theories. But sometimes we don't get to see how these systems can be oppressive at very personal level, such as through your names of birth. I did not like my name of birth. It had a lot to do with who gave me the name. My paternal grandmother, a peasant from a remote poor village in southern China where I was born, gave me the name. She's 100% illiterate. She didn't know how to hold her pen or write her own name down. So it's no surprise that my name sounds a little bit traditional and unsophisticated. It's not a name a modern and educated family would give to their newborn in China in the 1980s. The name invited hurt and humiliation to me throughout most of my school years. By then, my parents had moved us out of this remote poor village and got settled at the urban county seat. Despite how hard they worked, my family continued to struggle financially. In 1996, my parents were making a combined monthly salary of 200 yuan, roughly $30. And they had to feed 5 mouths and afford 5 school bags. An unusual family size at the time when the one-child policy was strictly enforced across the nation. When I was about 8 years old, a comic skit promoting the one-child policy became a sensation across the nation. It was called 超生游击队, literally translated as One-Child Policy Violator Gorilla. It was featured at that year's Chinese New Year Gala, broadcasted by China's Central Television, and viewed by millions and millions of Chinese people. In the comic skit, a rural peasant couple, the wife was pregnant, along with their 3 daughters, had to escape from place to place to try to give birth to the baby in hope that it will be a son, while trying to avoid being caught by the family planning regulators. Instead of projecting empathy, the comic skit made fun of them. Their stubborn adherence to the backward tradition of son preference was portrayed as the cause of their plight. And it was the main laughing point of the comic skit. Well, my family resembled the family in the comic skit. As a matter of fact, mine was worse. We had 4 daughters before my little brother was born. 1 more girl than the family in the comic skit. And I was the 4th daughter. And my family struggled financially. So after the Chinese New Year break, I went back to school. As an 8-year-old, I learned something cruel. I and my family became the laughing materials for my classmates. It all makes sense now. Baozhen's family was backward. That's why her name is so country. I became more and more embarrassed by my family's financial struggle and their backwardness. Academic performance was my way of proving my self-worth. But high score did not bring comfort for me in my name. As a matter of fact, it grew even worse when I went to one of the best universities in China at a large city. Most of my classmates were from family of privilege, either wealth, political influences, or cultural status. On my first day of college, one of my teachers chuckled when she called my name in class. So during the 4 years in college, I feel ever more trapped in my name of birth. And the opportunity to break through that trap came when I received a full ride to go to graduate school in Atlanta, Georgia. At age 20, as soon as I landed in this country, I dropped my name of birth and adopted English name, Maggie. I got a name from a celebrity based in Hong Kong. She's modern, beautiful, westernized, and sophisticated, and I wanted to be her. On the first day of graduate school, I proudly introduced myself as Maggie to the entire class. At that moment, I felt so free, as if I was given a chance of rebirth. So after I adopted the westernized name, I started leading a westernized lifestyle. As Maggie, I assimilated as much as I possibly could, including dating and eventually marrying to a nice white man. From my in-laws, I learned how to shop at Whole Foods, ate a fat-free, sugar-free, and everything-free diet from time to time. With my partner, I had an overdosage of mainstream American pop culture. Family Guy, Saturday Night Lives, hockey games, you name it. In Atlanta, I also turned myself into a yoga fanatic, a vegetarian, and eventually got certified as a yoga teacher. I blended in well. My colleague back in Georgia used to call me a Southern belle. Maggie is actually a Southern name. By coincidence, I did not know that when I adopted name, the abbreviation for Margaret. My ex-father-in-law one time used the term Chinaman to describe one of his business partners without noticing me sitting right next to him. My parents flew all the way from China to attend my wedding, but could not understand the words spoken at the ceremony, because the two languages used were English and Hebrew. Well, some interactions and comments never really sat well with me. Maggie knows how to say Happy New Year. How cute is that? That comment was made after I told the person I was pursuing a PhD degree in sociology. Stop using Chinese medicine. It's not scientific. We are so glad you are Asian, not black. A rather confusing discomfort started growing in me. And I suspect it had much to do with this invisibility and supervisibility of my Chineseness. At age 29, I decided to leave my marriage. During the divorce process, I felt so trapped in the name Maggie, as it was a signifier of my failure in relationships. Desperate for rebirth, I returned to my name of birth, Baozhen. Very different than my strong-willed move to become Maggie, returning to Baozhen was almost like a subconscious act. A mysterious force was pushing me back to my name of birth. It has been 5 years, almost 5 years, since my name of birth returned to me. So how have I been doing in this name once invited hurt and humiliation to me when I was a girl back in China? There were ups and downs, but I had to say, it's been great. Every quarter, in the beginning, some of my students knows, I would unapologetically ask you guys to learn how to pronounce my name in Chinese. This is how it goes. Do you have a friend named Jennifer? Do you? Okay, if you don't have one, think about Jennifer Aniston. She's everybody's friend. Alright, so now imagine yourself bowing to her. Bow to Jen. Baozhen. So everybody follow me. Baozhen. Baozhen. One more time. Baozhen. Baozhen. As you can see, it's quite a scene, actually, to see the students in the whole room pronouncing a foreign name in unison. And I would tell my students, that's a perk, comes with having a professor who's a new immigrant from China. From there, actually, there are some students some people will refuse to learn my name. A mental block against any non-English names. I just can't comprehend that, right? Some people will call me, hey, hi there, the entire time. I had students who spell my name as B-O-W-J-E-N instead of B-A-O-Z-H-E-N. From there, yet I persisted. From there, I started learning how to love myself in a society that does not always treat women, minority, and immigrants with love and respect. Sometimes it's flat-out discrimination, other times subtle microaggression. I now have become very proud of my Chineseness. I am actually in love with the Chinese American woman that I have become. And most importantly, self-love has empowered me to love others more. Students, friends, colleagues, acquaintances, strangers, and perhaps most rewardingly, my family. They say life comes in full circle. I have actually started using my name in Chinese characters again. I recently started practicing Chinese calligraphy. My paternal grandfather was a calligrapher in this remote backward village in southern China where I was born. Every time before I put down the first stroke in black ink, I would imagine how my grandfather would smooth the ruffled paper and balance his breath. And I would do the same thing. And more proudly, I would put down my Chinese name in Chinese character and my seal with my Chinese name to complete the work. And this is a work I complete recently. It's Resilience, Ren, in rounding hand style. And on the left, you can see my name and my seal in Chinese characters. Speaking of resilience, I would like to say a few words about my maternal grandmother, my beloved 外婆. My wife was 100% illiterate. She didn't know how to hold her pen or write her own name down. She became a child bride at age 10, gave birth to her first child at age 16, and eventually gave birth to 11 more children. She died at age 59 from liver failure. She was born in poverty and died in poverty. And she worked so hard throughout her entire life. During a recent conversation with my mother, I learned something very precious about my beloved 外婆. My 外婆 was considered as the best cook in her village. Even when there seemed to be no ingredient in the kitchen, my 外婆 could always put together a delicious meal for her family. In my mom's words, 外婆冒出来要可以煮出好出来. That's in the village dialect. My 外婆 could always cook something out of nothing in her kitchen and in her life. I had more new discoveries recently. They just keep coming. I learned something about the meanings of my name, something that's so obvious, but I never got around to do. The name, Maggie, is a Greek baby name. It means pearl. And my name of birth, Baozhen, literally means precious gem. Finding unity between oneself and one's name is not always easy. For many of us, why say us? I mean those of us who are oppressed by various forms of social injustices that often put down our self-worth, even though some of them may seem self-imposed. What's your relationship with your name? What's your story of searching for yourself in your names? Thank you.